Today we're talking about Porsche. 52 facts about the company that made the 911 immortal, built tractors, designed forklifts, annoyed Peugeot, saved itself with an SUV, and somehow made over-engineering feel like a religion. Number 1. Porsche and Ferrari basically have the same horse in their logos, but the story is way weirder than just car brands like horses. Porsche's horse comes from the crest of Stuttgart, Germany. Ferrari's horse came from an Italian fighter pilot who became famous after shooting down a German plane near Stuttgart during World War I. So yes, the two most iconic sports car horses are connected by war, pride, and one very unlucky German airplane. Number 2. No Porsche has ever really had a traditional grille. And before someone points at the front bumper and starts yelling, those are air vents, not grilles. Porsche built its identity around rear engine and mid-engine layouts, so it never needed a big front grille to define the face of the car. Other brands have mouths. Porsche has nostrils with engineering excuses. Number 3. Porsche hates when people pronounce the name wrong. They hate it so much that they released an official video teaching people how to say it properly. And the funny part is that the video sounds like a tired teacher explaining something to children for the 100th time. It is not Porsche. It is closer to Porsche. Porsche did not just build sports cars. They built pronunciation homework. Number 4. The 911 was not originally called the 911. When Porsche unveiled it in 1963, it was called the 901. But Peugeot complained because they had rights to 3-digit car names with a 0 in the middle. Porsche decided the fight was not worth it, changed the 0 to a 1, and accidentally created one of the most famous car names ever. Peugeot tried to be annoying, and Porsche turned it into branding gold. Number 5. To show off the active air suspension in the Panamera hybrid, Porsche connected the system to an iPhone's gyroscope. When someone tilted the phone, the car's suspension reacted. The only warning Porsche gave journalists was basically, "Don't flip the phone, we haven't tested that." That is peak Porsche, extremely clever, slightly unnecessary, and one bad hand movement away from chaos. Number 6. On Porsche wheels, the logo on the center cap is supposed to point toward the valve stem. Most people will never notice this. Porsche people absolutely will. That tiny detail explains the entire brand. Even the little crest in the wheel has to behave like it went to private school. Before we continue, if you enjoy videos like this, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. These videos take a lot of time, research, editing, and money to make, and your support really helps us keep going. Thank you. Number 7. Across all forms of motorsport, Porsche has won over 30,000 races. That is not a racing record. That is a racing addiction. Most brands have racing history. Porsche has so much racing history it starts to feel like the company was born with a stopwatch in its hand. Number 8. Porsches have a reputation for actually surviving. According to the source, around 2/3 of all 911s built in the last 60 years are still on the road, or at least sitting safely in garages, while their owners explain air-cooled values to anyone trapped nearby. That is the Porsche magic. Expensive to buy, expensive to maintain, but weirdly hard to kill. Number 9. Dutch police use Porsches as patrol cars for decades. Why? Speed, handling, reliability, and one extremely strange argument. Because old Porsches had rear-mounted air-cooled engines, police could allegedly drive them in reverse for long periods during certain pursuits without overheating the same way normal cars might. Imagine convincing the government you need a Porsche because it is good at high-speed reverse police work. Number 10. In 2017, a Porsche Cayenne S diesel set a world record by towing an Airbus A380 weighing around 285 tons. That is absurd. The Cayenne went from "Porsche fans hate SUVs" 2. This SUV is dragging an airliner like a suitcase. Porsche built the car that saved the company, and then made it tow a flying building. Number 11. The Porsche logo did not immediately appear everywhere on the cars. Its first appearance was on the steering wheel of the 356 in 1952. Then it took years to reach the hubcaps, and even longer to appear on the hood. Porsche did not just slap the crest everywhere from day one. The badge slowly conquered the car like a tiny gold empire. Number 12. Old Porsches were not always easy to control. In the 1960s, some were so sketchy that Porsche welded cast iron blocks to the bumpers to add weight and improve traction. That is such a strange fix. Today Porsche uses advanced electronics and active systems. Back then, the solution was basically, add metal until it stops trying to kill people. Number 13. Only 218 Porsche 918s left the factory with no paint at all. Why? To save weight. Around 14 pounds, according to the source. That is such a hypercar owner decision. Imagine paying ridiculous money and saying, actually, leave it unpainted. I need the weight savings for the grocery run. Number 14. The best-selling Porsche right now is not the 911. It is the Macan. That hurts some purists, but it is the truth. The little SUV brings in the buyers, the money, and the volume. Porsche may be famous for sports cars, but the crossover crowd helps keep the dream alive. Number 15. The Porsche 956C produced so much downforce at around 200 miles per hour that, in theory, it could drive upside down. Porsche leaned into that legend so hard they hung one upside down in their museum. Most brands put race cars on the floor. Porsche said, no, put it on the ceiling. Let physics brag. Number 16. There is a real problem with Porsche headlights being stolen, especially on models like the Panamera and Cayenne. Why? Because the design makes them surprisingly quick to remove. The one-time German engineering made something easy to service, thieves turned it into a business model. Number 17. The Carrera GT exists because Porsche had a racing engine with nowhere to go. In the early 2000s, Porsche developed a 5.7-liter V10 for racing, but rule changes killed the plan. Instead of wasting the engine, Porsche built a road car around it. That is why the Carrera GT sounds like a Le Mans car that escaped into rich neighborhoods. Number 18. Porsche built over 120,000 tractors between 1956 and 1963. Yes, tractors. Before every Porsche owner online was arguing about manual transmissions and paint codes, Porsche was out there building farm equipment. So if someone says Porsche is only for rich people, remind them the brand has literal dirt under its history. Number 19. When Porsche returned to Le Mans in 2014, after being away for years, Audi welcomed them back with a friendly tribute. Later, when Audi left endurance racing, Porsche responded with its own emotional goodbye. It was like two German race teams having a dramatic breakup through marketing videos. Racing rivalry, but make it slightly romantic and corporate. Number 20. The Porsche 918 Spyder has the same key fob as the base Cayenne. That is hilarious. You can buy a hybrid hypercar worth absurd money and still hold a key that feels like it could belong to someone's school-run SUV. Porsche gave you future technology, but the key department said, use the parts bin. Number 21. The Panamera was Porsche's first production sedan, but not Porsche's first attempt at one. In 1988, Porsche built the 989 prototype, and it looked like someone stretched a 911 until it started asking for help. The Panamera may be controversial, but the 989 proves Porsche had been thinking about a four-door car long before people were ready. Number 22. Porsche designs award-winning forklifts. Not as a joke. Porsche design has worked on industrial equipment, including forklifts. That is the funniest contrast ever. The same brand energy that makes sleek sports cars also makes warehouse machinery look like it has a trust fund. Number 23. In 1978, Porsche tried to replace the 911 with the 928. Porsche thought the rear-engine 911 was old, limited, and probably near the end of its life. The front-engine 928 was supposed to be the future. And yet, decades later, the 911 is still here, still evolving, still printing money. Porsche tried to kill its own legend and failed. Number 24. Porsche makes ridiculous profit per car. According to the source, Porsche averages around $17,000 profit on each vehicle, while Toyota makes far less per car. That is the power of selling emotion, heritage, and options. Porsche does not just sell cars. Porsche sells base price plus temptation. Number 25. Porsche offers leather air vents as an option, and they can cost around $1,700. Leather, air, vents. That is one of those options that only makes sense after you have already spent so much money that normal logic has left the room. The air does not care, but Porsche customers might. Number 26. Ferdinand Porsche was arrested after World War II over alleged war crimes because of his closeness to the Nazi regime and his work on military projects. He was later released and deemed not guilty. It is one of the darker parts of Porsche history and a reminder that behind beautiful badges, old car companies often carry very complicated pasts. Number 27. Porsche doors can stay open at almost any angle instead of locking into just a few fixed positions. That sounds tiny, but it is genuinely useful. Most car doors decide for you: half open, fully open, or slam into the car next to you. Porsche doors give you precise rich person door geometry. Number 28. Porsche introduced the 911 Targa in 1965 partly because people thought America might ban convertibles. So Porsche got ahead of the rumor by making a semi-convertible with a fixed rollover bar. The ban never really happened, but the Targa became iconic anyway. Porsche created a solution to a problem that never fully arrived, and still won. Number 29. Most Porsches have the ignition on the left side of the steering wheel because of Le Mans racing. Back when races started with drivers running to their cars, having the key on the left let them start the car with one hand while putting it into gear with the other. It saved tiny amounts of time, and Porsche kept the tradition because tiny racing rituals become brand personality. Number 30. The Porsche 919 Hybrid Evo holds the all-time Nürburgring lap record with a time of 5 minutes and 19 seconds. That is not just fast. That is reality-bending fast. The car was basically a racing machine unleashed from the rulebook, and it treated the Nürburgring like a loading screen. Number 31. Ferdinand Porsche designed the Volkswagen Beetle for the German government in the late 1930s, and the first one was built at his private villa. That means one of the most beloved little cars ever came from a much darker and more complex origin story. Car history is never as clean as the posters make it look. Number 32. The Taycan Cross Turismo broke an altitude change world record by traveling around 1,600 miles with a massive elevation difference. The Taycan also holds an EV drift record for sliding over 26 miles without stopping. Porsche looked at an electric wagon and said, "Let's make it climb mountains and drift forever." Number 33. The Porsche 959 had a strange G gear in its gearbox. Porsche said G stood for Gelände, meaning off-road, because the 959 had rally heritage. But many people think it helped the car pass noise regulations by letting it start in a taller gear. Either way, Porsche made even first gear feel like a conspiracy theory. Number 34. Fans often call the 914 one of the worst Porsches ever. And yeah, it looked awkward. But the funny part is that weird unloved cars often become cool decades later because everyone suddenly decides ugly means character. The 914 is proof that Porsche fans can bully a car for years and then slowly start collecting it. Number 35. The Club Sport package sounds expensive, but Porsche can offer it for free on some cars. It adds serious track-focused equipment like a rear roll cage, 6-point harness, fire extinguisher, and battery kill switch. But there is a catch. You usually need to buy expensive bucket seats first. Porsche's idea of free still somehow requires money. Number 36. Without the Cayenne, Porsche might not exist the way it does today. Purists hated the SUV idea, but the Cayenne made Porsche a lot of money and helped stabilize the company. The uncomfortable truth is that the SUV Mini fans complained about help pay for the sports cars they love. Number 37. When Porsche nearly went bankrupt in the 1990s, they brought in former Toyota engineers to fix their production system. Porsche, the proud German performance brand, had to learn efficiency from Toyota. And it worked. Sometimes the secret to saving your sports car company is admitting that the Japanese are better at building things cleanly. Number 38. The Carrera GT's centerlock wheel nuts are color-coded, red on one side and blue on the other. That is because the thread directions are different depending on the side of the car. It looks cool, but it is also practical. Porsche somehow made "Do not install the wheel wrong" look like racing jewelry. Number 39. Jeremy Clarkson may have helped popularize the word yeet back in 1998 while pouring acid on a Porsche 911. That sentence sounds like it was generated by a broken internet machine, but it happened in the source. A Porsche, acid, Jeremy Clarkson, and yeet, car culture is not a serious place. Number 40. Porsche is working on synthetic e-fuel, made using water, air, and renewable energy. The idea is to create fuel that behaves like gasoline in combustion engines, but has a much lower carbon impact. Porsche wants to save the internal combustion engine from extinction, which is extremely Porsche. They do not want to stop burning fuel. They want to make the fuel smarter. Number 41. The Cayman is not named after the Cayman Islands. It is named after the cayman, the reptile. Different spelling, different thing. Which is funny because Porsche fans will absolutely correct you on this in public. Say Cayman Islands once, and someone in a Porsche hat will appear behind you with a Wikipedia page. Number 42. Porsche technically sells only a handful of main car lines, but across those, it has an absurd number of versions. According to the source, 6 cars can turn into around 95 different models. Porsche does not just sell cars. Porsche sells trims, packages, suffixes, variants, and the psychological pressure to upgrade. Number 43. The Porsche 917 is probably the most iconic Porsche race car ever. It gave Porsche its first overall Le Mans victory, and its most extreme versions made ridiculous power from a twin-turbo flat 12. The 917 is one of those cars that does not just look fast. It looks like it was built by people who thought fear was a useful design material. Number 44. The first 25 Porsche 917s are sometimes called secretary cars because Porsche was so close to missing the deadline that almost everyone in the office helped assemble them, including secretaries. That is insane. One of the greatest race cars ever was finished with emergency office labor. Number 45. Porsche sells paper clips shaped like the 911. 100 of them can cost around $20. That is both stupid and genius. Only Porsche could make office supplies feel like merch for people who say, "rear engine balance," during lunch. Number 46. The wing on the GT3 RS was the first production Porsche wing to sit higher than the roof of the car. That is a huge visual statement for a company that usually evolves design slowly. Porsche finally looked at subtlety and said, "No! Put the dinner table above the roof." Number 47. Porsche bodies were once made by Reuter, which later became Recaro. Reuter built bodies and interiors for early Porsches, including the 356. Porsche eventually bought the bodybuilding part of the company, and Reuter focused on seats and interiors, becoming Recaro. So yes, the famous racing seat brand is connected directly to Porsche's early bodywork history. Number 48. Porsche in Formula Drift sounds wrong, but it happened. Tyler McQuarrie competed in a twin-turbo Porsche 993 GT2-style drift car making around 750 horsepower. Porsche is usually associated with lap times and clean racing lines, but this one was out there making smoke like it had a personal problem with rear tires. Number 49. The Taycan was originally called Mission E, and the concept had suicide doors. That name honestly sounded cooler, but Porsche changed it before production. The suicide doors disappeared too, because concept cars are allowed to be dramatic, while production cars have to survive reality, regulations, and owners who park badly. Number 50. Porsche once considered a Cayenne convertible concept. A convertible SUV. Thankfully, they did not build it. The Cayenne saved Porsche, but even salvation has limits. Somewhere in Porsche history, someone looked at an SUV and thought, "What if worse?" And then everyone else eventually recovered. Number 51. Porsche's ownership structure is so confusing it feels like a legal puzzle. Porsche is connected to Volkswagen Group, Porsche AG, and Porsche SE in ways that make your brain hurt. The simplified version is, Porsche and Volkswagen are deeply tied together, but explaining who owns whom sounds like a family argument written by accountants. Number 52. Porsche is also tied into Bugatti Rimac. Porsche owns a major stake in Rimac, and Rimac controls most of the Bugatti Rimac joint venture. The funny part is that the name says Bugatti Rimac, not Porsche, even though Porsche is heavily involved behind the scenes. Porsche is basically standing in the background of the hypercar future, quietly holding part of the paperwork.